So these are the tensiomet devices, one by one. This is the most complicated, and we call them the flagship of tensiomet, is the arteriograph. Arteriograph measure the complex arterial function, including pulse rate velocity, augmentation index, and central systolic blood pressure. Arteriograph 24 is the Holter version of the arteriograph. So it also measures the complex arterial function parameters, but for 24 hours. A simplified version of the arteriograph 24 is the Tensioday Plus. This is actually in between a simple ambulatory blood pressure device and the arteriograph device, because it also measures 24-hour the blood pressure, but with the addition of central systolic blood pressure. And the simplest of all is the 24-hour blood pressure device of ours, called the Tensioday. So it only measures the peripheral blood pressure, systolic, diastolic, mean arterial pressures, nothing else. So this is from simplest to the most complex device. Let me show you how I install the arteriograph 24 device. Firstly, by putting in the batteries. Take care about the polarity of the batteries, but these are indicated here in the case. Once you finish, you can put back the lid. It shows the actual voltage, and if it switches back to the actual date and hour, then the operation is good. So now it's 11 o'clock 55 minutes. So that's correct. That's how you set up the device. Usually with the 24-hour versions, you don't have to manually program it. You can manually program it, but usually we program it through the computer, because that's the most easiest way to do that. Just one more addition. Arteriograph is a one-time measurement. With arteriograph, we measure the patient in supine position, so in lay-down position, only once. You can repeat it, but with arteriograph 24, it will automatically repeat the measurements for 24 hours. So the difference is the very same as with the simple blood pressure measurement unit compared to the 24-hour blood pressure measurement unit, but here we are talking about arterial function, not just blood pressure measurement. Okay, let me show you how I connect the device to the computer, but first of all, let me show you the accessories. The accessories for the 24-hour units are three different sizes of cuffs. This is the standard cuff with the number 2, and this is the pouch that you can attach to the waist of the patient. So this is the pouch of the 24-hour devices with the common accessory of the cuff. So that's it, that's the whole package and the whole system that you will get along with the software I would just like to show you. To connect the devices to the computer, you have to add the Bluetooth device. So go to the Bluetooth icons field, right click and select adding a Bluetooth device. So this is adding Bluetooth device. Here you can see that an arteriograph is already added, but now we would like to add an arteriograph 24. So I select add. You have to select that the device is ready for recognition. Next. Now the computer searches for all the Bluetooth devices in the vicinity of this computer. It can take some time. There you go. This is the arteriograph 24 that we would like to pair double click here and you can select that I would like to add the attachment code of the device, which is 4 times 0. You can just click next and everything else will happen automatically. Now the device is added to the computer with 2 different communication ports open, 77 and 87. Now you can click finish and the wizard have attached the ArterioGraph24 device. You can skip it by pressing OK. So that was the trick how to add the Bluetooth device to the computer. Now we can start the Holter program, which is called TensioWin. Double click, and if you have users already defined, like I do here, you can enter with that user. You can see the build-up of the software. So the first step is the list of already added patients. Second step is how to program and retrieve data from the device. And the third step is the evaluation or the analysis of the results. So let me show you how I define a new patient. That patient would be me. So I press Task Ferenc here with my date of birth, with my height, weight, and ugulum symphysis distance. Ugulum symphysis distance is very important if we are talking about arteriograph measurements. This is the distance that is a very good estimation of the entire aorta length. For that, you have to measure the distance between suprasternal notch, so the upper edge of the sternal notch, to the upper edge of the pubic bone. You have to palpate it. You have to measure a straight distance. And by that, I mean with obese patients, you should avoid measuring on the body surface because that can give you an overestimation. Try to measure it in a straight line as much as possible. If you measure me, I would have a ugulum symphysis distance of 51 centimeters. Arm circumference is mandatory to be given here because that is the basis of the good cuff size selection. My arm circumference is 29 centimeters, so the suggested cuff type automatically is number 2. That's what we have here. Press here my ID number, and you can see that I could add different contact details here. I could add some baseline information, including referring diagnosis, family history, baseline symptoms, etc., etc. I could give here medication, like if I would take, for example, aspirin and the frequency. And click OK. There you go. You will have a new medication in the list of medications. If you would like to, you can enclose the office blood pressure here, but these are not mandatory things. So now I press OK, and I have this new patient selected as the default patient. Now all I have to do is to program the device. So I go to the second step, which is set up protocol and program device. I would like to add a very standard measurement. Usually we prefer standard one, which means that every 15 minutes in the daytime a measurement is performed, and in the night time every 30 minutes, so half an hour. I selected this, but still I can change the different settings. So for one instance, I can add that I don't want a frequency of 15 but 20 minutes for the awake or daytime section, and for the asleep or nighttime section I would like to change it to 40 minutes. So you have the opportunity to change the settings for one instance. You can also add a special interval, like for example, you know that the client would be on an aerobic course from 4 to 5, you can set up a special interval. In my case, I will not select it. Okay, that was the first step of the programming, and as a second step, I have to choose which device I would like to program, and that is an arteriograph 24. Here I can set the offset level, which means that the so-called suprasystolic level on which the arteriograph 24 device measures on should be how much above the measured systole. Now it's 40 mercury millimeters, meaning that every time a suprasystolic measurement is performed, it will be performed on the latest measured systole plus 40 mercury millimeters. This is the default setting. Usually you don't have to change it. Now a very important step is to select the communication port on which you would like to communicate on. For that, just let's go back to the Bluetooth devices, double click, select arteriograph 24, double click it, or select properties, go to services, and it will show you that it is attached to COM77. So let's select 77 here. Or you can explore the COM ports, but it can take some time. So now I selected COM77, that is the communication port that the arteriograph 24 is put on. I select that only the selected port must be active, which helps the software to concentrate on only this communication port, so it will not explore any other communication ports, just 77. And now, if I press send, I have a confirmation window whether I will use the suggested cuff type or not. Okay, I will use cuff number 2, press OK, and this is the exploration phase. First, the device's memory is cleared. It will take some seconds. Now it's the second phase. The schedule or the program is downloaded into the device. Now this is just a reminder of the program. If you see this page, this screen, that means that your arteriograph 24 device is programmed successfully. Now you can start the measurement. Here you see that the start of the test will happen within 3 minutes. So it's 12:07, and the current time is 12:04, so 3 minutes from now the first measurement will start. You can see the status of the programming, it was successful. So I skip this window and go back to the device. First of all, I attach the pouch to my waist. I will set the length of the belt according to myself. Once I have it here, I will put the device into the pouch. There you go. And usually we prefer to put the cuff onto the dominant arm. And I mean by dominant, if I'm a right-handed person, I will put it onto my right upper arm. We prefer the cuff to be in a position that the tube faces the neck. I put it behind my neck and attach the tube into the device. So that's how it looks like. It's quite comfortable. You can put the cuff onto the thin layer of shirts, so this will not affect the measurement. However, be careful about the installation or the placement of the cuff. It should be more tighter than a simple blood pressure measurement cuff. So there you can see that I hardly can press one finger beneath the cuff. So that's how tight it should be. So that's how I look like. If there is some excess tubing, you can place it under the belt, and it still allows for a lot of movement. So there you can see I can move with this quite easily around. You can move, you can do your common work while you do this measurement, but if you feel that the measurement is started, it would be optimal to stop for a minute in standing position and wait until the measurement is ready. Now you can hear that the measurement is started. Now the device re-inflates the suprasystolic pressure. And that was the phase when the arterial function parameters were picked up. By arterial function parameters, once again, I refer to pulse rate velocity, augmentation index, and central systolic blood pressure. After the 24-hour measurement is ready, then you don't have to do anything else than to detach the device from the patient. And retrieve the data from the device into the computer. So this is retrieve data from device. You have to select arteriograph 24. And the lastly used COM port will be the default one. So COM77, you don't have to touch this because now it's okay. And just press OK. And depending on the number of measurements, it will take from few seconds to few minutes of time for the data to be transferred back to the computer. Now in this case, it will be quite fast. There you go. This is one measurement, but let me show you complete measurement of a patient. For example, this lady was measured in January this year. I selected that measurement and press the next button, and that's how I enter the complex evaluation mode. Now you can personalize the outlook of this. For example, this is just a graph of a simple blood pressure measurement, but I can turn on the graph of the arterial function measurements, and that's where you can see with purple line the pulse wave velocity, with light blue the brachial augmentation index, and with dark green, the aortic augmentation index. You can either turn off the standard graph and just see the arterial function data and the change of them. So that's how you can assess the measurement. You can evaluate the whole list of data with different parameters represented in red if they are over a certain threshold. For example, the threshold for brachial systolic blood pressure is 140, so anything above 140 will be indicated with red. So this is the whole list. You can see here disturbances in the measurement. There are some missed measurements also. The gray area represents the nighttime measurement phase. Anything that is white refers to the daytime measurement. You can gain some simple statistics like mean, maximum, minimum, standard deviation of the brachial parameters, the same for the central blood pressure parameters, and the same for the arterial function indices like augmentation index and pulse wave velocity. You can generate some correlation indices, which also gives you the so-called ambulatory arterial stiffness index, for short AASI, which is also a very widely used parameter for assessing arterial stiffness and cardiovascular risk. You can also show some histogram regarding the peripheral data, so systole, diastole, mean arterial pressure, and heart rate. If you are ready with the evaluation and you think that you only need to print it out, then you can go to print report. These are the default settings of the print report, and go to the preview mode, select the printer that you would like to print on, and then you will receive the standard 3 pages of the report. If you zoom in here on the first page, that's just a simple 24-hour blood pressure evaluation with the different results and with the thresholds for systole and diastole represented in the graph. The second page is for the expert opinion, so the doctor can type in the opinion here, and the third page is for the arterial function data. According to the different thresholds, you can assess the patient's state of arteries, either for pulse wave velocity or for the augmentation index, whether there are extreme outliers, whether there is high pulse wave velocity or any other parameter throughout the day or just during the night, just during the daytime. So you have plenty of options here to assess correctly the cardiovascular risk. And as a last step, if you'd like to, you can save the results directly to PDF. Close it and go back to the main window and check. Okay. There are several other options for the evaluation of the measurement. So if I select one measurement and go to the more detailed window, let's go first to the study data tab, and here you can change the day-night set. So first, the device is programmed according to former knowledge of when the patient would go to bed and when the patient would wake up. After the measurement is completed, you should modify these settings according to the real data. So you should ask the patient when she really went to bed, and if it was, for example, 2100, click here, and if it was at 2100, you can change it here and press OK. You can also change the different thresholds of the blood pressure measurement. Usually we use the daytime thresholds of 135/85, a more strict threshold for the sleeping phase, but I can change it to 140/90, which is the office threshold usually, and press OK. Once I do this and go back to results and turn on the graph, you can see that the new threshold is 140 and the start of the sleeping phase is at 2100, which I just set previously. So that's how you can personalize the thresholds and actually the outlook of the whole measurement. There you go. Now, if you would like to go more into the details of one particular arterial function evaluation, just click anywhere on this list. It will show you on the graph which particular measurement is chosen, and here in a separate window you can see the suprasystolic waveforms from which the arterial functions are calculated. If you don't like the automatically calculated results here, which is actually the average of this whole segment, you can highlight only one, and you can see that the numbers here changed, or a series of waves and receive a bit different results. If you like it more than the whole, just press save here, and your manually chosen numbers will be saved into the database for later evaluation. You can magnify these waves just for better visibility, and you can magnify the horizontal axis either. So there are plenty of options here. One more thing, if you have an outlier here, like for example this pulse wave velocity you suspect was a result of some serious movement or some environmental disturbance, double click here and you can disregard the results of the arterial function parameters. If I press here, select this function, it will result in this particular measurement excluded from the results and statistics further on. Now I press OK, and you can see that this measurement was dismissed from the graph. So you have the opportunity to exclude different measurements if you know that there were some disturbances during that span. Let's go to the data. Here you can see the complete list with some explanation for the errors. There are some different options up here. First of all, patient details. That's just a quick reminder. That's one window that stays always on the top and gives you a reminder of the patient details. You can turn it off. This is how you can save a PDF report by one click. So if I click here, it will automatically generate a PDF. I would put it onto the desktop now. Ready, the report file is saved to the desktop with an automatic naming, which is first the name of the user, second the name of the patient, and after that the date of the PDF generation. You can click OK. The next function is the very same as the former one, which is saving a PDF, but it will automatically open up an email client and attach the generated PDF as an attachment. The next one is a simple save function, which will save the raw data or the results of the whole measurement. That enables one particular measurement to be transferred onto another computer and be opened from there. The next one is export data, which will export the results or the list of the results just like represented here. And the final one is the written opinion. So to start the arteriograph measurement, first you should pair the device with the laptop. For that, please go to Bluetooth devices, double click and go to Add. Please select that the device is ready to be recognized. Click Next, and the computer will explore the Bluetooth devices in the vicinity. There you go, that's an arteriograph device that we would like to add. Select it and click Next. Now select Adding the pairing code of the device. It is 4 times 0. After that, click Next, and everything else will go automatically. Now it is ready. You can see the communication ports opened for the arteriograph. You can click Finish, and there you go. This is your arteriograph device paired with the computer. If you now go to the Properties and select Services, you can see the communication port attached to this unit, which is COM3 now. Just click OK. You can exit this window and start the arteriograph software. Double click. Please stop that. Okay, stop, and we will